And good morning to you all. It's Wednesday, March the 25th. I'm Todd Duplantis, and welcome to Up to the Minute. This show, of course, this live stream, we're sending this out across Facebook Live. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We have lots of HCC news, updates, and information that you need to know as we are living in a new world of working remotely. We want to make sure our students, faculty, and staff, and the community is up to date. We've got a packed show for you today. Of course, Brittany Pacheco is here with us, joining us live. Wave hi, Brittany. And Chief HCCPD Chief Greg Cunningham joins us again remotely for his weekly segment from the Chief. Wave hi, Chief.
Hello, everybody.
He is there as well, but we're going to start with Dr. Kurt Ewen, our Vice Chancellor of Strategy Planning and Institutional Effectiveness, but also the head of the COVID-19 task force here at Houston Community College. Dr. Ewen, thanks again for joining us. We've had a lot of changes once again since you were on the show on Monday. Of course, now we've got a mandated citywide and countywide lockdown for the most part across the city. But you were on earlier this week with Dr. Norma Perez over Instructional Services, and you provided updates. And we know there's a lot of activity taking place this week behind the scenes to ensure that faculty and staff are ready to resume classes this coming Monday, March 30th. And can you share with us some of those updates that are happening right now?
Sure. Thank you, Todd and Brittany, for being here and providing this service. I know that this is a great way for us to get this message out across the system. Dr. Perez is the Vice Chancellor for our Instructional Services Division, and her team are working closely with the college presidents. We have 7 of those, deans, faculty leadership to ensure that we're ready to start classes on Monday of next week. But the work that won't end just there. We're building plans right now so that we will have some idea as to how students are doing early on. Our goal is to have some sense as to how many students are coming to class. Are they staying in class? Because we want to be able to reach out to those students in the same way we did after Hurricane Harvey. We began looking at who was still with us, who had to drop out, and then figure out ways maybe to bring them back or to figure out how we might be able to help them. But this is an effort that we're going to be working on all week, and we're building into next week and moving forward. Not only that, but as was shared, all faculty are undergoing some training right now. We've talked in the past that probably 50% of our faculty have never really done this. And so we're spending all of this week and a good part of last week training them as of about an hour ago in my most recent update. We're at 71% of faculty have been trained. And part of that training is loading their Canvas shells. So those are the learning management tools that students will work from. Loading those in there, making sure that all the elements that we know help students be successful are in those courses. And we're going to be testing that to make sure it's happening. We're also assigning mentors. Any faculty member who feels the need for a mentor and to get them up to speed will make that available to them. And the last thing I'm going to say on this point is everybody, faculty, staff, and students most especially, through email or social media, tell us how we're doing. That's really the only way we can improve. We want all of our students to be successful, and we hope they'll let us know how we're doing.
You made a very good point there, because under this live stream that you're seeing right now, folks, we do encourage you to comment below with your questions or direct message us through social media. We are responding to those questions. We present the questions. If we don't have the answer, we present them to the administration, like Dr. Ewen and his team, to get an answer for you. So we're going to get those answers, and we're all trying to navigate through this. Dr. Ewen, you mentioned that there are some test systems that are going on right now. Could you talk about these systems prior to starting classes and how you're going through that process?
So imagine what most people are experiencing now is that untold numbers of people that have never all at the same time been on the internet are now working through the internet. And we're seeing outages and shortfalls in our ability to respond throughout the city of Houston, as well as other major metropolitan areas. So what we're doing is that we're preparing for a stress test. We're going to test our system to the best ability possible to make sure that when the system is loaded with lots of students, faculty, and staff at the same time, we have some idea as to how it's doing. And we'd like everyone to play along with us. This is a test you cannot fail, although we can. Between 10 a.m. tomorrow and noon, 10 a.m. and noon, we're going to be sending this information out to students, faculty, and staff with more details. What we'd like for people to do is to go online. Go into your Canvas shell. Go in and start. We'll be inviting students as to where to go and what to mess with. We're really trying to make sure that our systems are ready to go so that there will be as few outages as possible, at least that we can control. That's the real deal there. Again, the stress test and all of that information is also available on our website all the time. If you go to the main page, you can there's a banner right at the top, and hit that button and it takes you to all sorts of information. That's really the best way for students and faculty and staff to know up to the minute items about what's happening, other than watching this podcast, by the way.
Right. I guess the main point we're trying to get across to students in order to take a part in the stress test, and really so we can communicate with them, is look for our emails we send you, look for those communications. If you've opted out of the HCC emails at one time, now's the time, folks, to subscribe back in, because you guys are going to need to be able to get a hold of people, especially for this, because you're asking for students to participate in this test because we need to have that data, correct?
That's right. And we're putting out a variety of surveys. We've had more than 10,000 students tell us about their internet capacity at home, their access to technology at home, so that we have some idea as to how to respond. We're working with staff and faculty to make sure that they have what they need. This test tomorrow between 10 a.m. and noon, we're inviting all students to jump on and to help us figure out if our systems are up to speed. Jump on, and again, you can't fail this test. Just help us figure out if we're ready to go.
And we certainly would appreciate that as we're moving forward, students. So if you're watching now, please do keep track of those communications, because it sounds like the data they provide you is going to help us as we move forward Monday to try to prevent these outages like that have been happening over the past week or so.
That's right. So. And students are are able to get some training for themselves. So many of our students have never taken an online class. And what they'll notice is that at the end of that training, we're going to ask them questions about whether or not the training was effective. Do they feel more comfortable now about engaging in an online class? Those things we will start evaluating on Monday and over the weekend as we're getting that information in to say, all right, we didn't do as well in this area. How do we push that out to students? How do we help them know how to do X, Y, or Z based on what they're telling us? That's really important information. Tomorrow, after the stress test, there will be a survey sent out to students that if they engaged in the process, what was their experience like? They can always come to us through email. They can respond to the surveys we send them, or through social media. And we have lots of those outlets. Please use them. Tell us how you're doing. Tell us how we're doing so that we can improve.
Dr. Kurt Ewen, we appreciate you joining us on the show this morning. Things are really changing daily, and we will certainly work to keep our students and the community up to date. Thanks again for being here this morning.
Thank you, Todd.
And right now, returning for Wednesdays for his special segment, we've got Chief Greg Cunningham, Houston Community College Police Chief Greg Cunningham. Welcome back to the show, Chief. We missed having you on.
Well, and I've missed you guys too. I hope everybody is doing really well.
We are, and it's a new world we're living in right now, and I know it's a new way of doing operations for you guys. With the closure of all the campuses and HCC buildings, your team must be especially busy now with security because everyone really wants to get in to get something or the other. Even staff that may have left their laptops, or I forgot that picture of my dad I need to go get from the office or something like that. Are you getting those requests, and how are these being handled?
A lot of that. In the last 10 days or so, a lot of it was about supporting their work at home, right, where they could support students and do the things that they needed to do. Unfortunately, we aren't able to let folks into the building. There's a very small list of people that really make things work, right? The IT network guys and those kind of things that are still reporting back to work. But as far as going in and picking things up, the chancellor has asked that those buildings remain closed, don't cross-infect one another by allowing people to go in and clean places. So unfortunately, we're not able to support that request. I will tell you though, the college is working with, for example, if you're an employee who needs to work from home, maybe left your laptop in the office, please reach out to your supervisors. The college is doing a lot about we did a lot of that early in the week.
We did, and I know that a lot of folks were preparing, or at least our folks at HCCTV were preparing before the spring break, anticipating that something like this would happen, and our guys were able to get us a remote working option. So we were trying to stay ahead of that curve, but not everybody, I guess, had that option as well. Chief, one thing I wanted to address with you, because we always discuss rumors floating around the internet. You're real good at kind of narrowing things down and calming things. But there have been rumors recently. Right now, a lot of people are out of work. And there has been some rumors on the internet or speculation that possibly crime could grow during this time, break-ins in cars, because people in desperate times take desperate measures. Do you have any insight towards that and some tips that you might want to get across to people? You may not be working, but you still need to keep your guard up and watch them.
So I think people's fears may be a little bit in front of what the real issues are. So needless to say, home burglaries and whatnot have dropped off a lot, right? Because everybody's at home. You never know when anybody is home now. However, when you talk about cars, it's really, really important. This is a great time. A lot of you folks are at home looking for something to keep yourself busy. You need to really take that opportunity to clean out your car, make sure there's nothing in there that could be attractive to anybody. If you have a garage, I'd strongly recommend that you keep your car in the garage as much as you can. If, like me, you have that loaded with things, you may not be able to keep it in the garage, but at least make sure there's nothing in it. So from a home burglary standpoint, we're actually seeing a bit of a drop-off. Now, if you're a business owner, the threat now goes up dramatically, right? Because everybody knows what businesses can be open versus those that can't be. I would recommend, if you don't have an alarm system in your business or in your home when you leave it, it might be a good time, right? You have a little bit of time on your hands. It might be a good time to look for a system that works for you. There are a lot of things out there, from Ring type devices, if you're comfortable using those. If you have an alarm system in your house, it would be really good to contact the monitoring company to make sure that they're up and operating. Most of the large ones that are UL approved are going to be up and working. They're considered critical infrastructure. But if your security company is a small mom and pop place because you were supporting local business, you maybe want to touch them on the shoulder and just make sure that their monitoring system is still up and running.
Chief, you guys are in a different type of situation because a lot of us may be considered non-essential, but being a first responder, police officers, you guys are essential. How are your crews handling this? How are your officers handling this? And you yourself, I mean, you've been through hurricanes before and natural disasters, but this is a whole different type of animal we're dealing with right now.
You know, it really is. And to let you know, our people are coming to work, and we're continuing to patrol our facilities and do those kind of things. Again, about the burglary issue we talked about earlier. But so it's a new world, and it's a new world with really big challenges. So we've got some PPE or personal protective equipment that we're issuing to our patrol people in the event that they run into a situation where that's appropriate. But as you can hear, nationally, PPE is really becoming a giant issue. We don't have very much of it, right? So for that reason, we're instructing our police to really keep some distance between themselves and the people that we interact with. That isn't always possible, but we're doing that as much as we can. The PPE that's coming from the federal government into the state is truly being challenged to the hospital and healthcare workers. The issue is that as this spike begins to rise, and Texas has been very lucky, our illness numbers are very low in the scheme of things right now. But as these numbers rise and these people need to be hospitalized, we need to make sure that doctors and nurses that are treating these folks have the PPE they need so that they can give good health care and we not lose those doctors and nurses, because obviously their knowledge is the real value.
Absolutely. And Chief, I'm going to take you outside the HCC box. Being a police officer, you're seeing different things happen right now. They mentioned in the city of Houston, and I've seen other reports nationwide, they're asking police to, during these lockdowns, when they go to the park, to ask people to social distance. And some of them could face fines. Being a police officer, how do you deal with something like that? Because I imagine this is new for the law enforcement world.
So far, there hasn't been a direct order coming out of the city that the police engage. However, we have a responsibility as responsible people in society and law enforcement folks to if we see people that are clearly violating it, to visit with them and get them to split up if we can. Bear in mind, you may get that guidance over a PA system from a police car. You guys need to understand that our world has changed a little bit too, and walking into a crowd of more than 10 people saying, hey, you guys ought to disperse, puts us at risk as well. So the delivery methods may change a little bit. Generally speaking, I've seen a great deal of cooperation on the street. Folks are being very, very courteous. They're stepping out of the way in grocery stores to allow other people to go by. Right now, in the Houston area anyway, I can tell you that I am really, really proud to be a part of this city right now. Everybody is trying their absolute best to do the right things, and they're being very, very courteous. Understand this is stressful for a lot of folks. Those people who may be alone and don't have a family unit to comfort them, they're under a lot of stress. So I'm going to ask everybody in our community and the community in general, please pack a little patience, right? When you're expecting someone to be courteous and they may be a little grumpy, understand that may be coming from somewhere else. Loneliness is really, really difficult to deal with, and a lot of people manage it differently. Those who might already be stressed from an emotional situation or have other challenges, this just adds on. So it would be my advice to really do your absolute best to work with one another. And if someone begins to react bad, give them the space they need, back off a little bit. I get that we all need to get things done, but being able to work together, and if somebody's upset, let's see what we can do about getting that to calm down.
Chief, you've summed it up, and those are perfect words to end upon today. We really appreciate you joining us, and welcome back to the show again. We hope to get this up and rocking now that we're back working remotely, and we can bring you in online if we're not in the studio.
And I'm looking forward to it. It keeps me busy.
All right, Chief. HCC Police Chief Greg Cunningham, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
All right, Brittany Pacheco is joining us once again. Brittany has been watching our social media, and she has a number of questions that she's going to be bringing up. Brittany, what are folks talking about on social media right now?
Hey, good morning, Todd. So, as always, social media is just bursting with questions, and students, we really appreciate you being patient with us as we find these answers for you. I've said it once, I'll say it again. We don't have all the answers immediately, but understand that your questions are being read, they are being heard. We've passed those questions on to college officials who are better suited to answer those questions. So I, as of yesterday, have been going back to follow up with many of your questions out there to provide you the answers. And right now it's actually been kind of quiet. I think, in a joint effort with HCC and um, our social media team, we're pushing all this vital information out there about what's happening next week when we return to class, and getting students prepared this week through training for Canvas as well as our instructors. So, we made the announcement yesterday. Coleman, I'll say it one more time. Coleman students who are going through their clinicals, it's varying by situation. So if your clinical site is still scheduling you all, you would need to reach out to your program director to find out what's going on with that, for example. I'm checking over here on Facebook real quick. Like I said, it's been pretty quiet today, actually. Todd, I sent you some memes yesterday about.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to try to pull some of those up. I may be able to get to them. But one thing I wanted to mention to our students and to all the folks watching, if you do post a question, Brittany says we are researching these. If you do post a question at the end of each day, I am asked to find or to send the administration questions that are coming in through social media, and Brittany provides them as well. So those questions are getting to the people that need to see them. They are reading your concerns. They're trying to address all these with you, and they are doing that on a case-by-case basis. So we may post an answer for you in social media. We may send you a direct message, but don't think that we are not going with your questions, because we are trying to answer those. And the people that have the answers, the administration, all the way up to the vice chancellors and the chancellor, they're reading your questions, and we are going to get those answered. So I just want to make sure that folks know that. Now, this is kind of the lighter part of the show. We're going to take a look at here some of the memes that you sent me. And let's see what we got here. There's one. Can you see that one?
It's still loading. So, question was asked yesterday: what are some of the funnier memes I've seen in light of this coronavirus outbreak? And now that we're on a city, stay home, work from home. If you have to venture out, I thought this was kind of funny. When a cop stops you, but you're an essential employee,
right?
Multi-pass. If y'all don't know that reference, you need to go watch The Fifth Element. You're home, spend some time catching up on some movies, watch some old classics. The Fifth Element is one of my favorite movies.
That is a good movie. Now, my daughter posted something on Instagram yesterday, and I shared it. She works for HEB, and let's see if I can find that in mine here. Let's see. She works for HEB, and they actually gave all their employees. Why is this taking a long time to load? There we go. Okay, so they actually gave all their employees this here. You see that?
So emergency response.
HEB gave the employees that they have an emergency response placard that they are to put in their cars. And my daughter posted this on her Instagram because she works for HEB, and my son also works at another HEB. But they're telling them now that they're emergency response personnel. So this is in case they're stopped in the middle of the night. It's out there. So there's a couple of things. I'll have to pull up the rest of the memes later. I can't get to them right now. But I'm going to stop sharing this. So let's see here. There we go.
And that's good to know. I mean, you and Chief were talking about people just needing to be courteous and have a lot of patience during this time. And I did see a meme earlier about being kind to our grocery store workers. They're working hard. Whether they're at the cash register, stocking, answering questions. I mean, shout out to everyone who is, at the front lines of this whole pandemic and just working really hard. And this is a really good time just to say, be kind to one another, because we need to help each other out. We need to be there for each other, regardless of the social distancing. But We just need at least to be kind to one another. And at this time, Todd, I also want to just say to our students, we have a student survey going around right now to find out about student equipment and your needs. So please be sure to take that survey just so that the college is aware of your situation and we can assist you before classes begin next Monday, March 30th.
It's important right now that our students do keep in touch. And I know I keep saying this, but it's true. A lot of people have opted out of that HCC email over the years. And I get it. Okay. But now's the time to opt back in because we need to get a hold of you. We need to have your right phone number, and so we can text you if need be, and also to send you an email if you need to. So those are one things to keep in mind. And do, once again, comment below. We're asking folks to share this post so we can keep getting the information out to people as we move forward in this new world of remote working. And I see, speaking of remote, I see you've moved to a different room. What's going on there? You're out of the nerd room.
I'm out of the nerd room. You're right. I'm actually here at my parents' house right now, and I said to you off screen that we had to take my puppy Luna to have a CT scan done. She's okay. We just want to make sure she's healthy and whatnot. So it's easier just to come over here to my parents' house, spend a little bit of time with them, and have to set up shop over here too. So
there you go. Well. Brittany, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for this morning. We do appreciate you being here and joining us. Tell your parents we said hi. We hope Luna's doing well. And we will check in with you at least tomorrow. And thank you all for joining us here on the show today. Share the word on the show, because this is one way we can communicate with you interactively. You can ask questions and we will answer them. But we do intend to bring you the most up-to-date news involving Houston Community College faculty, staff, and most importantly, our students, because that's really what we're here for, to keep you up to date. For Up to the Minute, I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll see you next time.